Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Expendable Show. I'm your host, The Expendable. And with us, as always, our lovely Tim Walz is in the house today. Tim Walz. Wow. She went with the double hand wave. Good job, Tim. We're going to call you Tampon Timmy at work now.
Feeling very patriotic today, honestly.
Tim Walz makes you feel patriotic. He makes me want to go into like witness protection. But on today's show, you've got yourself muted, Shauna, just so you know. I don't know if you're talking to me or talking to somebody else.
The kids are in the back and they're on their iPads, so I don't know how loud it sounds, so I was gonna not try to have noise.
I can't really hear it.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, cool then.
But today, so we have a major thing that I want to go over, and then and I didn't put this in the description of the show because I forgot this was going to happen, and then I started watching the news, and then I realized that Bret Baier on Fox News interviewed Kamala Harris. So it just happened. So, of course, I already made a TikTok about it, and I'm probably the first person to give an analysis in all of TikTok over the interview. So my phone is like going crazy right now. So far, everybody agrees with me that Kamala Harris sucks. It's unanimous.
There you go.
So the first thing that we're going to cover today, you have to be careful when we talk about the United States government because they like to sneak little sneaky things in there. And they don't always like put it on a billboard that, hey, we just did an executive order, or hey, we just did a defense order. So, hey, there's Colin. Colin Good is in the house today. The United States Marine Corps is being represented. Hoorah!
Hoorah!
So we're going to talk about this. The Department of Defense issued their little referendum that was approved. But it was the Department of Defense Intelligence and Intelligence-Related Activities and Defense Intelligence Component Assistance to Law Enforcement Agencies and Other Civil Authorities. So what does all that mean? We're gonna get into that. So this memo came from the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. So this is one of the big dogs. This is a guy who does make a report to Joe Biden. So there is a specific section in this referendum that I want to highlight and discuss. I brought this up to Shauna today, and we had a brief discussion about it. And we're going to dissect what it says because, they use government lingo to try to get you to think, oh, I don't understand this. It's too governmenty lingoed. But we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to figure out what it says. So, in Section C of this memo, it says assistance in responding with assets and potential for lethality. So, when this is the federal government is offering assistance for lethal means. Then it goes on to say, or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. It also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated. This is the most insane thing I think I've ever read coming out of the government. Let me get right. So when they issue stuff like this, there's two things that cause them to do these things. Either something has happened and now they need to make a policy to correct it, or they're anticipating something is going to happen and they want the policy in place so they can be legally right. So I think it's the second option. I believe that they're putting this in play with election season, voting day of voting is 19 days away. We are that close when you really think about it. We could see, depending upon what happens with this. Yeah, you can early vote in Georgia now. Actually, Georgia had a record early voting turnout, and it's still going on. So, where I was getting with that is that there's a specific phrase in here. It says it also includes all support. So the military is going to give support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated. It doesn't say where a crime's happened. It says if they anticipate it. So that means that the government is going to be able to offer up. This came from the Department of Defense, so we're talking military here. Colin, correct me if I'm wrong. So this is a situation where Joe Biden and Kamala Harris now have the power that they've issued through the Department of Defense and have given it and said, hey, we will assist you, which assist means, hey, we're going to come in and take over. Let's just get it. Let's just throw that out there because they're not really assisting anything. The federal government is not going to show up and then just say, well, what do you guys want us to do? They don't work like that. They're going to show up and go, who's in charge? Now I'm in charge. That's how it's going to work. Seen it happen a million times. And so they're basically giving the government the right in civil law enforcement, which would be like your local police departments, your local sheriff's office, your state highway patrol, your state investigation agencies, anything underneath the federal government is a civilian
National Guard, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the National Guard still has to, they only answer to the governor of the state. So that's going to be a little iffy. But if it's like if it happens in, for instance, North Carolina has a Democratic governor. So if something happens there, which potentially things could be happening there right now, I'm not sure what's true and what's not true yet, but supposedly there's some violent things going on there between FEMA and them mountain boys. But I don't know if it's true or not, so don't sue me and don't fact check me and don't censor me. I'm saying that I don't know, but that's what I heard. I hope it's true.
Word on the street is.
Word on the street. Word on the mountain is. Word from the holler. Sarge.
Hey, Sarge.
Sarge is in here too. So now we got. I got fact checked already.
I can't help it.
She's Tim Walz. Shauna is Tim Walz today with the double hand wave. She's really been like working on her Tim Walz. Like she idolizes him, and they're like peanut butter and jelly. They're probably going to go to an Indigo Girls concert after this. See, I already know. But anyway, what I see happening with this is the government's given power and they're offering assistance. You don't. Trust me, Sarge, you don't. I have to deal with this every day at work, every day.
Unfortunately, Sarge, there's nothing I can give. This is natural energy.
Okay, see, she distracted me. So the point is, I don't trust this. I don't trust this moratorium. I think it's a setup for something bad, and they snuck it in there. And luckily, people like I discovered it on Twitter, and then I had to go read it on the government's website. And this is legit. It is legit, and this is basically the whole thing is written for the preparation of something big happening. So I think that they are I don't want to say too much because I don't want to have somebody sue me, but I have my own opinions on it that potentially things might not be quite honest on election day, but I have something to tell everyone. Remember the 5th of November. Ironically. So if you've watched V for Vendetta, you know what time it is. Have you watched V for Vendetta, Shauna?
Natalie Portman was hot in that movie. Okay.
You just sound like Mr. Mackey. You're Mr. Mackey right there.
She was good.
Okay.
She was hot in that movie. I solely, purely watched it for her. It's a great movie.
Okay, well, I'm just making sure you watched it. So that's what I think is going to happen with this. I think it's going to be a setup for something. I don't trust it at all. I don't trust anything coming out of anything that has .gov at the end of it. So it makes me bring up this point, and most of the people that watch my show, they already know what time it is. But we have Colin. That movie was not terrible. It was awesome. I can't believe you didn't like that, Colin. I'm disappointed. Anyway, so it makes me think like that they, you have the Harris campaign that's constantly saying Trump's trying to be a dictator. Trump's trying to be a dictator. And you have all their little minions all over social media going, Trump is trying to be a dictator. But is this bill not, I mean, is this memo not as of a dictator? So I have a big problem with that. And I feel like this is an authoritarian move. We can't have the federal government just giving everybody the green light, because what's going to happen, Shauna? Tell me. We already talked about it. Just say it.
Okay. So let's just say, we can't, let's just think about it objective, like, non-objectively. Like, what if he did this? Because we both agree that he signed this order in order to prevent, or what he thinks is going to happen. So let's just say, last time we had a whole problem, few groups were upset, some stormed the Capitol. So what if he put this in order if people are upset, if, say, Trump won the election?
Right.
They might have people storming the Capitol again and saying, okay, with that being said, we've got to have something to be able to put plan to action if something like that happens again. That's
obviously not going to happen, because I've heard several Democrats say, "Oh, if we will be peaceful if Trump wins." They're going to be extremely peaceful, just like last time when they burnt Oregon to the ground.
I'm just saying, it could be, the thought process could be something along those lines. I'm just saying, we can't be so biased about it. We both feel that it's for another reason, but I'm just saying,
they're going to cheat.
What if
they're going to cheat and it's going to piss off Americans?
But also, what if it's for that? Like, they're thinking, okay, what if people are upset that Trump actually won, that they didn't think he was going to win, and these people get upset and then maybe riot and things of that nature, and maybe he did it for that.
Okay, well, maybe
it's a possibility. Anything is possible. We can't just be biased about it.
This was issued on September 27th, so it's been out for a few weeks now, and it's legit. This is in play. This is part of procedure now. So
now I do find it interesting that they did like openly put this out there. Yes, no.
I think her kids just said Trump 2024. I'm pretty sure that's what I just heard. Trump 2024.
No. Kai says hi.
I see as you waving at me.
But yeah, I just find now, the thing that I do find interesting is the fact that they haven't really openly put it out there, that it wasn't, really brought to people's attention. Somebody had to go dig it up. I think that's a little suspicious.
Right. When they hide stuff, like, they put it out there so that way they do their due diligence and say, oh, we issued it. It's not our fault. You guys didn't go find it. That's what they do. It's a plausible deniability thing, and it's a cheap shot, but that's what they do. They expect the sleuths of the internet to go find all these things. And I feel like you got to go look at whitehouse.gov like every day to go find all the stupid shit that they keep putting out.
Totally agree,
you know,
Colin. Totally agree.
yeah, I mean, I agree. And, you know, so I'm not going to completely blame Donald Trump, um, or Joe Biden. I think both of them played a part in the divisiveness. Um, so I'm not going to pick a side on that, but there was a point when somebody had to like be the bigger person. And I would have expected that out of the president of the United States. You know, Trump's in a political season. He's facing all these charges and going through all this court stuff. I mean, you're going to be a little testy. He handled it better than what I would have. I would have been on a war path. But you know, for Joe Biden, he just kept putting the pressure on the pressure. Just keep throwing domestic terrorists. They're MAGA's domestic terrorists. They're a threat to democracy, and that adds up. That adds up after a while. So now you have these CNN lovers that every time they turn on their TV, they're hearing threat to democracy. So when we hear it as conservatives, we all go get our guns ready. So imagine what it does to the other side as well. So you have this there's this standoff that I fear is going to happen. And, you know, of course, if Trump wins, Antifa is going to reemerge and be a problem. And Colin, I think you're right. And I bet you SARS will agree with that as well, that the majority of the military will not fire on unarmed civilians. So I don't worry too much about that. I think at the end of the day, if our commander in chief is issuing these orders and he's saying in a situation, yes, go handle that, I do believe that if there ever became an order from a direct officer where they said, open fire, I think you're going to see people say this is not what my oath entails. So I like to see, and I'd like to see how. I don't want to say I want to see how that plays out, because that would obviously, if we're to that point, we're in the American apocalypse. So I don't want to see that. But if it does, I think that the good will prevail. I think good people will say, look, we're not getting involved in this. And this isn't our place to fire on our own people, our family, our friends, our neighbors. I think that would be a very, very bad decision. And if the president loses the military, he's done. Just like in every other, scenario around the world. At any time there's an uprising, when the president loses control over the military, they're done. And now you have a new regime. So I don't think they'll risk that, knowing that most military will not attack their own people. I think that's a risky thing to do.
Well, I mean, I just don't see such a huge threat where you have to do that. Regardless of how dangerous you think civilians are, at the end of the day, they're civilians. Like,
right.
I just don't see where you even say, okay, this is just a huge threat. We need to send the military out there. Let's go handle this. Like, I don't. It's like to overstep like state police. You know, like there's so many other things that you can do before going straight to the military. So to do that was just like, so there's no like negotiations. Like there's nothing that we wanted to try to do first before just.
I mean, you also have to understand, Shauna, that the Biden administration has destroyed the law enforcement field. Nobody in this country is at full staff in the major metro areas all throughout this country. They are understaffed. That's and you're gonna see a lot of these cops go, I don't make enough money for this shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
You're gonna see that. Fair. So I think they have a real problem trying to enforce this. It's gonna cause an even bigger problem.
That's true.
My dad just said they'll bring in the blue hats. Now I did hear that the blue hats do have bases here now. Colin, SARS, do you know anything about that? The blue hats having bases here. I saw this theory. I've yet to look into it, but it is on my list. I would not be happy if the United Nations and NATO had operations here beyond what they already do. If they had bases here, I'm gonna be mad. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. I thought it was illegal for them to set up shop on our land. If the Chinese can't have their own police stations, then NATO can't be on our ground either. That would be technically, I believe, it would be considered an invasion by word of law. But I may be wrong. I'd have to. I'm a little behind on my constitutional law, so I had to get caught up on that. Without going too deep into this conversation, because it is, I mean, it's an important thing, and I'm going to be paying very close attention to what happens out of that. Yeah, you're right. They definitely can train, but I did hear there's 2 bases though, so I'm gonna try to read up on that and confirm it. But I want to go into like the scare tactics of Kamala Harris that she's used, and I want anybody who watches the show to understand that that's what they are. They're scare tactics. She throws out Trump is gonna change America as we know it with Project 2025. How many times do I've probably said it on this show at least a dozen times? Like Project 2025 is nothing. Nobody wants to use it except for like the super right radicals. Trump does not want to use it. He has his own plan. If I was president, I'm not using anybody else's plan either. I'm gonna use my plan. I'm like, get your plan out of here. Your plan sucks because I didn't make it. Right, Shauna? It's my plan or no plan.
There you go.
See, that's how I do it at work. If it ain't my plan, it's no plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then Kamala likes to throw around the dictator word all the time because Donald Trump said, well, I'm going to be a dictator on day 1. But the CNN and MSNBC, they keep clipping it because there's more to that sentence that they don't show their people. It's a heavy manipulation tactic, propaganda, all that. But he said, I'm going to be a dictator on day 1 for 1 day, which there's every president in my recent memory does the same thing. The first day they go sit down at the Resolute desk, they get their pen out and they go, hand me the executive orders. And they fix all the screw ups that they didn't want to do from the last administration. Joe Biden did it. There was like 94 of them that Joe Biden did on day 1. So for them to take that a very, very standard thing that happens on day 1 and twist it into Trump said he's going to be a dictator. And that is all that the liberals have. We don't want to vote for the orange man because he's going to be a dictator and destroy America. No, your dumbass news networks didn't show you the whole clip. You wouldn't think that if they'd show you the whole clip. But and then they don't want to listen to nothing. You could put that clip in front of them on a big projector screen up from the moon, and they would be like, "That's not true. That's not true."
That's what they'll say.
They edited that. It's AI generated. But we don't like AI. We're conservatives. AI sucks. Just more liberal robots. They also throw out the National Guard deployment. Like Trump's going to deploy the National Guard and attack American people. He's going to deploy the military and attack American people. And he's going to dismantle the government. Well,
Isn't
you know what?
Joe Biden just signed off on?
Yeah, right. He just gave the power. But, Trump's the dictator. But they talk about the dismantling of the government, which the Department of Education needs torn apart. They got to tear that all the way apart. That's got to go and redo.
They got to start from ground zero.
Yeah, I'm tired of American kids testing outside of the top 20 in the world. That's not America. We should be up there with China, and it's because we're doing this social emotional learning. That's this communist thing that gets everybody worrying about their feelings all the time instead of worrying about academics. That makes you a genius.
Can I just say that I feel like this is why the suicide rate is so high in America amongst kids? Just saying.
Well, just to add to that statement, you remember when the kid in where was that? God, in Winder, the kid in Winder that went in and shot up the school.
Oh yeah.
Not too long ago. That school, that specific school in Winder, uses a very, very advanced version of the social emotional learning system that Europe developed. And it's supposed to make kids feel safe and secure. Well, they really fucked that one up, didn't they? That just shows you it's a bunch of trash. It makes kids worse. And this is, I'm telling you, our schools back home where I'm from in Ohio, I went and looked them all up. They're all using it. Like the statistics are like 92% of the schools in America are using this. I don't call them all out.
I can imagine. I feel like that's why I feel like it's overstimulation and it's too much stuff. Yep. Like I don't think that necessarily is like there used to be stages in life for certain things and for you to make certain decisions and stuff, and now it's just such an overload of everything, and then all these programs that they have and they're doing, like, this is why the kids have such a high suicide rate.
Yeah, these kids their minds are hamburger right now. Yeah. And it's because the schools are doing it to them. Mm-hmm. They got to keep it simple. School should be simple. You go and then you learn your subject
full of drugs. Because they all got ADHD and stuff. That's part of the problem too. They all of them diagnosed with ADHD. What else is it that I told you that all, like, pretty much all these kids have
they're autistic and everything else?
Yeah, they're autism, all of it. How is a whole generation of kids all autistic? Please make it make sense.
Well, then you've got your guidance counselors going, "Hey, Jimmy, when you go home, make sure you go grab some scissors and chop your genitalia off because I'm pretty sure you think you're a girl." Was that too far?
Just a tad. That's probably going to definitely get you a fact check for something or shadow ban.
Yeah, that's okay. I like it. I kind of like it now. That's how I know I'm winning, is when I get shadow banned.
Oh my God.
So let's go into Kamala Harris, because, okay, so she sat down and had an interview just today. Well, they pre-recorded it, but they played it first today. And she had it with Brett Baier on Fox News. And I totally forgot about it, but I sat down and started watching the news and I was like, oh shit, this interview is going on right now. And let me tell you, Brett Baier came right at her. First question, immigration failure. And she immediately, like, went from 0 to 1,000, was angry. And yep, Elon Musk is autistic and he's fantastic. Fact check. You got fact check, Shauna.
I have so many comments on that, but I'm not going to do it because I'd be canceled. So, okay. Thank you, Colin.
But in the interview, so I don't know what, I mean, the Harris campaign, they're trying to get her out into hostile territory, but you can't out hostile the interviewer. Everybody go watch this interview. It's a giant disaster. And she got so mad. I'm just going to go chronologically with everybody to let you know the key points that I took notes on. I'm a nerd. I take notes on TV. Don't judge me. So he talked to her about immigration. So she would not take any responsibility for that. She said on day, because he brought it up. He's like, on day one, Joe Biden got his pen out and got rid of all of Trump's immigration policies. And she was like, well, we had another policy ready in place and it got voted down by the Republicans. And Brett Baier was like, it was a pathway to citizenship. That's not fixing the border. And she didn't want to hear that. So that's when she started just talking over Brett Baier, like the rest of the interview, like 30 minutes of her talking over every question. So he couldn't ask questions. It was the most, like, childish, babyish thing I've ever seen. She would not stand on her statements about giving everybody free education. She would not stand on her business about giving everybody free healthcare. She said, oh, well, that was 5 years ago. My opinions have changed. She but then you got to remember on October 8th on, I think it was CNN, they asked her, they said, what's the difference between you and Joe Biden? What would you change? And she said, well, I wouldn't change anything. Okay, well, so you're having America judge you off of that statement. So we're expecting more financial shit and more problems and more wars and more inflation, more high interest rates. Like, is there anything? Can we pay $12 for a dozen of eggs yet? Is that where we're going? Because that's where that administration brought us. So that was a horrible answer to that, because people remember things like, you said this, Kamala. You said you were going to give everybody free education. You said you believed in universal health care for everybody in the country. We all heard you say it.
This is the
now you're backpedaling.
Generation to try to backpedal in. They
you can't.
will record and meme you so quick and fact check your own statements that you made for the fact that she's like, oh, that was 5 years ago. Oh, okay. What? Like, it's everywhere. Right. We all heard it.
Right. I know. And I'm on it all day. Like, you should see it at work. When I find out something and I have to hurry up, because my office is all the way on the other side of our facility from Shauna. So I have to run across the whole facility, and then I have to go in, and all of our doors have keypad locks on them. So I got to go, beep, 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 beep. And I'm too excited. And half the time I push all the wrong buttons. And then I go in, I'm like, Shauna, look what I just learned. And then I got to do a cartwheel, a backflip, and then roll over her desk and then show her what I learned. And that's like how intense it gets at work sometimes.
Sure.
It doesn't happen like that.
No.
It looks cool in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing in your head then, huh? Okay, got it.
That's in my head. That's what's happening. But I can identify as an excited gymnast if I want to.
Okay.
Because Kamala Harris said I can.
Okay. You can be anything in this economy. I mean, the main thing you're going to be is broke, but I mean, you can be anything you want to be. Literally, it's
okay. And I do. I'm gonna be a employee of the month tomorrow.
As long as you're okay being poor, you can be anything.
You can be whatever you
want to be. As long as you're okay with being poor.
Right. That's right. That's a really good point. But back to Kamala Harris's disastrous interview. I'm going to talk about this like for all week. Every time somebody opens their mouth on any social media outlet, I'm going to be like, man, Kamala Harris really sucked on Brett Baer. Not literally. Even though, well, I mean, $20 you could probably get. Nah, I'm not allowed to say that. Sarge's brain's off today. It's okay. I'll do all the thinking for you today. Vote for Donald Trump. That's all you need to think.
Okay.
So he also was able to sneak in and say, well, why do the American people trust Donald Trump over Kamala Harris's economic policy? And she just kept saying, I'm just going to follow the law. She answered like probably 5 questions too. Well, I'm just going to follow the law. And it was like her rebuttal, because you know how she was saying she was answering everything before with, well, I grew up in a middle-class family. This is like her new one. I'm just going to follow the law. Like, okay, Kamala, you're going to follow the law all the time. So
what is the law? Because that's still your job. You know,
well, it's going to be whatever she
propose. We make changes. You know, make it better for the American people. So what is the law that you're going to follow?
Right.
Just a good point.
But her answer,
I feel like it's a valid question.
Her answer, she wouldn't answer the question as to why the American people trust Donald Trump. She just kept saying, well, go to KamalaHarris.com and look at my plan on the economy. And like, it was more like a very loud and angry, like political commercial for her. That's what it reminded me of. She kept blaming things on Trump some more. Brett Baer asked her about why did it take her so long to say something about Biden's cognitive decline, and she said that he's sharp as a nail. She wouldn't even admit that he had cognitive decline. And so I know what Brett Baer's follow-up question was going to be. He was going to say, well, if there's nothing wrong with him, why are you in the race? Because they're Joe Biden's delegates. He got them all. And they all tricked him and said, hey, you're too old and decrepit to be in here. But nobody wanted to come out and say it. And Kamala wouldn't do it. And she said Joe Biden's just as capable of being a leader as anybody else. So I thought that was kind of interesting that she went that route. They've been trying to get her to throw Biden under the bus, and she kind of does, but kind of doesn't. She basically just went on there and answered every question with Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump's fault. Donald Trump's been our problem for 10 years, but he's only been president for 4 of those 10 years. She wouldn't let Brett Baer talk. Everybody go watch the interview and get your own opinions on it. But I thought it was a disaster. Also, pay attention to her earrings. She had her little microphone earrings in. Yeah. And you can tell like they're heavy, like her earlobe, like they are almost falling off her earlobes. So you know that she's not wearing them for fashion. They're too heavy for her ears. So go watch that. It's a disaster. Also this week, Harris got accused of plagiarism. Don't really care. I didn't look into it all that much, but I know that it happened.
That's like her thing. Like every other week, she's getting caught for plagiarism. This is interesting.
Her really bad accents should get charged for plagiarism. Did you see where she was trying to be Puerto Rican the one day? Or Cuban or whatever, Colombian. She was talking Colombian or something. Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
Good.
So she was a Southern belle one day, and she was Jamaican one day.
I mean, at least she'd be on par with her heritage.
She ain't from Georgia.
But you said she was doing her Jamaican accent. Her father's Jamaican.
She don't claim that. She only claims black. She was Indian back when she needed to be Indian. Now she needs to be black, so she's black. Yeah. And you know what? It's funny.
Pride, my sister, Black Pride.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I see more and more videos of the black community calling her out on it. Like you ain't one of us. So it's kind of funny.
I don't know. I haven't been on social media in the last couple of days, so I don't know where we stand. I'm gonna hop on tonight though to see where everybody is standing after this interview. So that'd be interesting to see the thoughts on that. See if everybody that was sticking strong with her is still sticking strong. See what their views were on the interview.
Yeah, it was just a complete disaster. We just wait till you watch it. You could tell Brett Baer was getting mad. After a while, he just put his notes on the little table beside him and just sat down and let her continue ranting. And he was getting mad. Like his hands were like starting to get real fidgety. Like I thought for a second he was going to reach across and grab her. And like he kept looking over, like on there, the producers kept telling him like, get her off the subject, like move on. There's more, you have more questions, like move on. And he was even talking about it after the fact. And he was like, look, I was trying to get her to answer these questions and she wouldn't let me. And then she wouldn't let me redirect her back on topic. And he said, my producers were yelling at me in my earpiece. And because you can see him, he keeps looking. Brett Baer kept looking at the producers like every once in a while because he couldn't get nowhere with her. Like she came in way too hostile. It's like she did a bunch of cocaine before she started or something. I don't know. She was just really like, Brett, Donald Trump did it. He made all the illegal immigrants come in. But she blamed him for everything. It's so annoying. Other news. Tim Walz's sex scandal is still going on. They still have yet to say anything about that. Waiting. No, not yet. They're not ready yet. They're not ready to deal with it. So you got the Harris plagiarism scandal. Tim Walz likes to go to gay bars with kids, allegedly. Foreign drones are flying all over military installations now. You don't see very many people talking about that. Why are foreign countries flying drones over our military bases? This is why this administration, yes, no, okay. Colin, I really want to dive into that comment. Colin's comment is, did he assault a horse? In fun time, yes. But in reality, I did look it up. It is an AI news story. Somebody generated it. But I'm still, in my mind, it's true. So Tim Walz is still the horse whisperer. So let's just get that straight. Regardless if it's true or not, he's still the horse whisperer. I don't care. I mean, he definitely used his double wave to like hypnotize the horse. It was like, let me have my way with you, horse. Shauna, was that too much? She's not even listening.
Yes.
She's watching Kamala Harris's interview.
Yes, I am. I'm trying to.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, why is she yelling at Brett Baer? So we have these drones flying over our country's military bases. Nothing out of the White House about that, of course, but everybody's reporting it. It's just nothing out of the White House. Like, oh yeah, no big deal. Just some drones.
Everybody's. Well, what I'm reading in the comments from this interview is somebody said Kamala's entire campaign has been, "I'm not Trump, vote for me." Very little policy, constant digs at her opponent. I told you this earlier today. It's been very arrogantly ran, and that's what turns me off about the whole campaign for her. Literally,
they didn't have a choice. They didn't have a choice because any liberal policy is not working right now. They threw all their chips into Joe Biden with all the liberal policies they wanted to get across, and they all failed disastrously. So they didn't have a backup plan for policy because they thought this was going to work because Obama had prepped everything and they were supposed to make it happen and it didn't. And so Trump screwed things up and made people go, yeah, this is a stupid plan. And then Trump used the pro-America plan and America First plan. And then the people liked it. And they're like, dang, a president finally likes us. Just not the liberals. But now some of the liberals are going, yeah, we didn't sign up for this Joe Biden, Kamala Harris crap. This I can't retire now. And that's what's happened.
My bad. I was just reading all these comments. Yeah, pretty much everybody's saying the same thing. Like, she's vilifying Trump, not really talking about what she's going to do.
We didn't learn anything. We didn't learn anything about her.
Yeah, that's pretty much everybody's. For just this one post on Twitter, that's pretty much what literally everybody is saying. I haven't dove into it any more than that, but yep.
Well, it's a good thing. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say that.
Somebody
next.
Said, oh, that's funny.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, he was talking about how she directed everybody to go to her website. He was like, when you were on TV bashing Trump, you could have told everybody your policies on national TV.
Yeah, because she don't know what they are. Somebody made a website and put a bunch of like bullet notes on it. It doesn't even really map out. I looked at it. It doesn't really map out her plan. It just says, give people $20,000. Do, find pathway to citizenship. It doesn't like really tell you how she's going to do it. It just has all these things. Vote for me and I'll give you free money. Vote for me and I'll give you free citizenship. Everything's free on her plan. Free. Who's going to pay for that? Me and you and your mama and your cousin too. That was an Outcast song.
For nothing else. They can kiss my ass. I ain't paying for shit.
Did you get my Outcast song right there?
I'm not listening to you. What we talking about, Nate?
That's all right. This is an old school Outcast song.
Yeah, okay. You probably can't even tell me what album it's off of.
Aliens. Boom.
It's at. Oh, we ain't even finna get in this. Go on and talk about what we talking about.
Aliens.
Yes, if you gonna say it right, sugar.
So, yeah, but I still got the answer right.
Bomb ass album, by the way, just to let y'all know. The land of royalty around here. Anyways.
I got it right though, and you thought I was gonna get it wrong. You gotta remember, I'm old.
That's true.
And I grew up in the cornfield hood. Hood's a hood.
Sure.
Okay. You know how many animals try to jump me in the cornfield?
Okay. We get carried away.
Oh, what are we? Oh, we're having a podcast. Last issue I want to talk about. So we're talking about international, and me and Shauna, we were talking about this earlier today, and I thought it kind of hit me. I was like, Benjamin Netanyahu came out and he said that Israel, not the United States, is going to decide how to handle Iran. So when you have the Biden administration and Karine Jean-Luc Picard, or whatever her name is, she gets on TV and she's like, oh, we have all these policies and we're going to do this and that. It's really just mumbo jumbo, because Netanyahu is not cooperating with the Biden administration. The Biden administration is trying to get him to sit down for a peace deal. And Netanyahu's saying, no, I'm getting bombed by 3 different people. I'm not doing a sit down. I'm not doing a peace deal. Like, I need them to stop bombing my people so we can get these hostages back and we can go back to normal. But nobody wants, in the Biden administration is not letting it happen. So I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, when it comes to this, and this situation is going to continue to escalate, because it's already slowly been escalating. Now we're to the point where Netanyahu's pretty much eliminated Hamas. I think there's only like 1 fighting unit left. And then he's done so much damage to Hezbollah. And Hezbollah is a very well-funded, very well-armed army. And Netanyahu's destroyed them. And all that's left is Iran. So Iran is going, whoa, this didn't go how we thought it was going to go. Now I don't have any friends to throw rockets at anybody. Now what do we do? And Israel's going, we got them back. Their backs are against the wall. Let's finish them. And Biden's going, will somebody sit down with me and do a peace deal? And Netanyahu's going, we're not doing that. We got these dudes right where we want them. And so,
which is fair, which is very fair. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
It's fair.
But at the same time, it does. I don't. This doesn't have to go this way. If we had strong leadership, for one, I'm pretty sure that Hamas doesn't do what they do. For 2, I don't think Hezbollah does what they did. And I don't think Iran does what they did, or the Houthis, or all these groups trying to kill Israelis. They won't do it with Donald Trump in the White House. So they're shooting their shot right now, trying to get as much done as possible. Well, they didn't. They rushed it. And now Israel's going, okay, now you're going to see what we're capable of. And they are. They're making it happen. They're eliminating a lot of bad guys over there.
All I'm saying is, as long as this damn war been going on, he should have did this early on. Maybe we could have saved us a couple of trillion from sending stuff over.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Just on the other end, I think he has all right to defend himself. That's cool. But if you doing all this, you should have did this a long time ago. So we didn't have to suffer for our tax dollars to help fund your bullshit. That's all I'm saying.
Regardless of who's right or wrong, like, war's not ever a good thing. War hurts economies. It strains funds. People die. The war's not a good thing. And so for the Biden administration, just basically they're incubating these wars, and they continually fund them to happen. Biden's given money to both sides of that fence in Israel. Biden has fully funded an anti-peace agreement with Russia in the Ukraine. And then they basically said, well, we're gonna honor Taiwan's we're going to support Taiwan, but we're going to honor China's claim as Taiwan's part of China. This is the international policy of the Biden administration that's going on is the biggest failure in human history. And that's what we need to do when we vote. Let's stop looking at Orange Man bad, because Orange Man saves lives. Wars don't happen under the Orange Man. And does Kamala Harris have the international clout to go in front of world leaders and prevent things or make people do the American will? Like, she should be able to walk in the room just like Donald Trump was doing and saying, hey, you're not going to do that. And then they listen. Kamala Harris doesn't have that capability. Nobody takes her seriously. The international world is going to walk all over her. Europe is going to dig their grimy little, like, half-dead grandma fingers into America so deep that we're not going to recover from it. And they already are. And this is one of those things that we have to pick right this time. Regardless, if Donald Trump hurt your feelings, who cares? Suck it up for 4 years and let him fix the shit. Let him back Europe up a little bit. Let him end these wars and let him straighten our economy around. He brought us out of Obama's recession and got us stabilized all over the world. And he did that with basically a bunch of half idiots in his whole regime, because he didn't know who the bad guys were at the time. And then as he started firing these bad guys that weren't doing their job, he started replacing them with better people. All right, Colin, make plastic great again. Be safe. Don't harass nobody at work tonight. But that's basically the gist of my international spiel with them. I think that the world needs a strong international leader right now. It doesn't seem like anybody's steering the ship. And that's why we have instability.
I would have really liked to seen Kamala take this time to sit down and try to Joe Biden's like, oh, let's sit down and do a peace treaty. I would have really liked to seen her take this time to showcase what she could do with international problems and fix this. That would have been nice. That would have made me look at her a little different. Like, okay, you might be able to do this job.
She has a lot of blown opportunities. I've noticed that. Like, she doesn't. Yeah. I don't think she don't know how to seize that moment.
Because that would have been something really good. Her and Joe could have sat down. She could have been like, me and Joe came up with a plan. This is what we're going to do. It's already being put into motion and action. We're doing a ceasefire. I would have really liked to have seen her been more proactive with this, instead of us just finding out that Joe's signing another executive order, sending over another $2-3 trillion. That would have been nice. That would have looked very proactive of you in the mindset of being the next leader of this country.
Yeah, she had the opportunity for the last, probably month to show some leadership initiative, and she did it.
Yeah.
Her campaign was way more important. She went down there and did that fake photo op in North Carolina during the hurricane, and that pissed everybody off down there. She was there like 10 minutes and left. And so, she had opportunities where she could really show her strength as a leader, and she just didn't do it. And I can't trust somebody like that. Like, when we're in a crisis, or when the world is in turmoil, do you have what it takes to go in front of the people, we the people, and make a solid decision? I don't think Kamala Harris has it. I think she'll cave to special interest, and any lobbyist that shows up, she's going to be a bought and sold president, just like our last few. So I think Trump's got to get back in there and everybody just get out of his way and just let him fix stuff. I don't really need him to get on TV and talk. I don't need the news media to try to trick him into saying ridiculous things, because he's going to say those things. But everybody just leave him alone, get out of his way, and let him fix stuff. There's no need to talk to the dude on let him just issue press releases. Here, I fixed the economy today. Thank you.
Now, if he tweet that, I'll be happy with that. I'm gonna repost that. I'm like, all right, retweet.
Right.
I see these APRs that went down. Thank you, Trump.
Right. I mean, we're hurting. We're hurting on it.
Killing us. These APRs are killing us. No, like seriously, like
I know.
please.
I
That's
already
the first
know.
thing I want you
It's
to see.
bad.
I don't even care about student loans. Well, I don't have student loans, but still, I don't care about none of that. Let's fix these APRs. This is crazy right now. Okay.
Yeah, super cereal.
Oh,
Man, bear pig.
Jesus.
But I think that's it's a bad situation. Trump's got to fix it. Let him do his thing. Let him go in there. Stop these wars. He needs to go meet with Putin, and then he needs to go meet with Zelensky on his first week in office and go, okay, this is going to end today. You guys sit down and figure it out. Go out back, fight it out between the two of you. Whoever wins gets whatever they want. And then go over to Israel and go, hey, Iran, you stay over there and you go and don't point no rockets at nobody. And Israel's going to go back to doing what they're doing. The Palestinians going to get their little piece of land back, and everyone's going to live in harmony. We're going to get the Abraham Accords back up and running, and everybody's going to abide by them. If they don't, then America's going to be really mad, and we're going to send lots of really angry aircraft carriers and battleships over to the Mediterranean. That's how you solve problems. And Trump is right. It's strength. You have to be strong. You have to have them fear you. You know, fear is a strength sometimes.
And what about 20% of don't give a fuck and fuck
Right.
around and find out?
and Trump has that, and it's effective. So one thing in all my years of martial arts that I've had,
like I got reprimanded. Mommy said bad words. Oops.
You did. You're in trouble. But in all my years of martial arts, one thing that stuck out to me that one of my first senseis told me was, you learn how to fight so you don't have to fight. And this applies to this because everybody knows Trump will fight. And so he knows how to fight. So no one's going to test him because they know that anytime you come at Trump with something, and if he has the United States military at his back, this isn't going to end well for whoever the opponent is. And so they know that. And no one's going to fight because of that. Fear is a very, very powerful tool sometimes. And they just keep playing Kamala Harris's interview over and over and over again on Fox. God, she's a train wreck.
Yeah, I've seen 5 minutes of the clip. It was something. It was something.
Yeah. But I think that's going to be the end of the show today. I've run out of things to talk about, and that's about an hour. So we will jump back in on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday for our next episode. I'm sure within those 4 days, there'll be something exciting to talk about. So everybody be safe out there. Do your homework on your candidates, please. Don't rely on mainstream media. Go out there and do some real research. Find out exactly what they're saying, that of unedited clips, and see what type of people that you're really voting for. Is the policy fit or not? So early voting started. Make sure you check the Trump box. That's all I got to say. If you don't, I probably can't be your friend. And if you do vote for Harris, I'm going to blame every bad thing on you if she gets elected. And I'm going to remind you every day how bad of a decision maker you are.
So that means we get to, if bad things happen with Trump too, we get to tell you are a bad decision maker, right?
No, you see, I'm going to use my podcast to propagate the information because the Democrats did it for the last 4 years, so it's my turn. I'm just going to edit the shit out of stuff.
The economy is stronger than it's ever been. That was my favorite.
But that's the end of the show. We're out of here. Stop talking, Shauna. We're done. See you later, everybody.